Good evening, everyone. I've been trying to speak for a while now. Can someone please confirm that I can be heard? Okay, thank you so much. You are all welcome to the final day of the Limitless Medicine webinar. Once again, I am Eti Zizi Emanuela, the regional assistant for South South himself CB, and it is my utmost pleasure to moderate the remaining the final day of this event. And I'm sure for all of us present here that has been attending since day one we had the academic medicine module. Day two, we had the research medicine and the public health module. And finally, today, we will be ending with the lab and the USMLE pathway, the PLAB pathway for the UK and its environs, and the USMLE pathway for the USMLE pathway for the USMLE and complex pathway for the US and its environs. Okay. Earlier today, an infographic was dropped on the Limitless Medicine chat board. I think many of us did not see it or we did not want to respond, but we'll be having a brief interaction before our speaker comes up on USMLE versus PLAB. To all our viewers, USMLE versus PLAB. Which would you choose, and why U Assembly versus Plab. I want to see the team US and the team UK standing their choices right here. So USMB versus Flap. I can see Lota Chuku, Rachel here. You're welcome. Emmanuel, I can see Emmanuel here. You are welcome. So USMB versus Flap. Which are you choosing and why? Did we get the question? Are we still present here? Okay, so Lotach could tell me USMV versus Plab, which would you choose and why? Are you a team UK or a team US? Or have you not made your choices? Okay. Emmanuel says he will choose Plab. Please, can you tell us why? There are many notions and there are many, yeah, I would say notions about the Plab pathway, but you're choosing the Plab pathway. So can you share with us why you're choosing the Plab pathway over the Team USMB pathway? Um, Rachel, I'm still waiting for your response. USMB or Plab, which would you choose? Okay, while we're waiting for their responses, to those of us that just joined, you're welcome to the final day of our webinar. Today we'll be delving into the two most popular and common errors that most medical students, most doctors take to transverse to global medicine, I would say. So before that, we'll be having a brief interaction. I want to know our preferences regards these pathways. So if you are team USMD, you can type USMD in the comments, in the chat box, in the comments. If you are team PLAB, type PLAB in the chat box. And you also have to say why you are choosing. You also have to say, if you say USMD, you have to say why. If you say PLAB, you have to say why. Okay, Rita is saying U Assembly. Good evening, Rita. You're welcome. Okay, Team Plab is one and Team U Assembly is one. So it's a draw. It's a draw for now. Okay, I think I should state my own, give my own overview regards the Plab and the USMLE pathway. If I had to choose, I would choose the USMLE pathway. So it's a plus one to the team USMLE over the PLAB pathway. Though the PLAB pathway has its own, should I say, pros. Duke is saying none. Why? Okay, perhaps at the end of the session, you're definitely going to have your mind. You're going to definitely going to gain clarity, and you're definitely going to pick one. Okay, I would choose the USMLE. Okay, I was going to talk about the pros of the plan. When it boils down to expenses, yeah, when it boils down to the yeah, I would say cost. The people do know the plan as being it's cost less than the USMLE pathway, which is the main reason why most medical doctors from uh, from the few let me say research, but many people that I've spoken to, it's mainly cost that makes people choose the PLAB pathway. Also, the PLAB exams are also quote and unquote easier than the um, USMA exams. So the advantage over that the USMA has, I would say, is that the USMA, it's being in US, you have more career options, more opportunities, and so on, more exposure, more opportunities, and a greater career prospect, and a greater career prospect, and also salary. Salary is also very much included. But these are just, should I say, side knowledge. Our speakers are going to give us a more deeper insight on these two pathways. And one point, our speaker will be coming up really soon. She'll be coming up by 7:30. So we have 5 minutes till she comes up. One thing that we should all, that has been re-emphasized from the first day of this webinar till now, is having a mentor, having someone to lead you by the hand and walk you through this journey, because these are not pathways, these are not endeavors, they are not things that you do alone. You have to have someone who has gone through the experience, who has lived the life, or is currently living the life, and or is currently doing what you want to do. That way you don't have to learn from your own experience. You don't have to make mistakes. Someone has already made the mistake. Someone has already had the experience and all that. Exactly. So that makes everything much easier for you having a mentor. Okay, that is generally my own take. I still want us to share our preferences. Okay, Umar has said that he's team USMB, so we have, okay, I'm not adding myself. We have two USMB and we have um one one person in team club. Okay, okay. It's two against one, two against one, two against one. That's wonderful. That's great. We are back. Our first speaker, she is here. She just got in. Good evening, Dr. Cho. You are very much welcome to the Limitless Medicine webinar, and she will be coming up right away. Before that, we will have a very brief introduction of our speaker. Our speaker for the CLAP pathway for the UK and its environs is Dr. Ogenechowe Baturi, MBBS, MPH, resident doctor in emergency medicine. As I invite her to the stage, can we give her a round of applause and cheer her on in the comment section? Thank you so much, Dr. Cho, for agreeing to speak at our webinar. We're very pleased to have you here. Please, you can take the stage.
Hello. Can you guys hear me? Just yes or thumbs up something. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Ma, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Hello. My name is Organishowe Batsuri, as I've been introduced, and I'll be talking about the PLAB pathway. Um, Unfortunately, guys, I forgot about the time difference. So for me, it's 6:30. So apologies for being late. um, and I wasn't able to prepare a really concise slide. I do have one prepared already, but it's not on this phone, it's on my laptop. And I wasn't able to get into the StreamYard thing on my laptop. So I'll probably send one over to your moderator. All right, so let's get into the PLAB journey. I've talked about PLAB, I think, for like 2 years now. And I'll just run through what PLAB is, the steps involved, and we'll leave the floor open for any questions, if that's okay. All right, so PLAB stands for the Professional Linguistic Assessment Board. It's made up of two exams. You have PLAB 1 and PLAB 2. However, you also have requirements before you're able to take the PLAB exams. So the major one is a proficiency in English test, which is either the OET or the IELTS. That's the major one. However, you do have to have completed medical school. There are other nitty gritties about people that can't take the exam, even though they haven't graduated, but we'll probably save that for later. We'll talk about alternative pathways. But as a rule, you need to have finished medical school and you need to have a proficiency in English test results. Now they have requirements. So OET, you have to have at least B in all the sections. And then for the IELTS, you need to have at least 7.5 in all the sections. So I think at least seven in all the sections for you to be able to use that for the PLAB. So once you get that, you can then do your PLAB 1. Now PLAB 1 is MCQ. So straightforward MCQ, I think 180 questions, 3 hours in and out. It's mostly basic stuff. So they'll be asking you things like anatomy, biochemistry, pathophysiology, stuff like that. And there's no negative marking. So I would generally say make sure you finish everything. um, and PLAB 1 can be written anywhere. It doesn't have to be in the UK. You can take it in Nigeria. So in Nigeria, we have so many, I don't want to say so many, but there are more centers now. So by the time I wrote, I think it was only Lagos and Abuja, but I think you have in Enugu and Port Harcourt now. Just confirm. So for those of us in Nigeria, those are the places you can write it, but you can write it anywhere. Just look for a center close to where you are, and then you can register for the exam. Now, once you pass PLAB 1, now PLAB 1, the pass mark, there's no pass mark. It's dependent on that cohort. So the pass mark is dependent on the score that people got in that round or in that batch. So there's really no pass mark. Just do your thing and pray you are better than the average. But yeah, that's PLAB 1. Now, once you pass PLAB 1, you will now be able to take PLAB 2. You can't take PLAB 2 without passing PLAB 1. So when PLAB 2 is totally different from PLAB 1, it's OSCE. So it's station, station, station. So each station, you're going to see a patient and an examiner in the station. There are 18 stations altogether, 16 actual stations and 2 rest stations. Now, I've seen some people where one station can get cancelled because people were failing it or there was something wrong with the question or something like that. That can happen. And then they remove that for everybody. Okay. But baseline is 18 stations altogether, and you have 2 rest stations. The pass mark, I think they've changed it now. So now you do have to pass I think 9 or 10 stations, one of them, and you should be able to pass the pass mark as well. So there's a pass mark for that batch as well, and then the number of stations that you are supposed to pass to be considered as a pass mark, if that makes sense. So those are just the requirements, or should I say the prerequisite for the exam. Now, once you pass PLAB 2, yeah, PLAB 2 can only be taken in the UK. So you have to travel to the UK, which is something you guys need to think about. You can't do it in Nigeria, you can't do it anywhere else. It has to be in the UK, in the Hartman Square or Hartman Street building. That's the only place they take the exam in the world. Okay, so while you're preparing for your journey, also think about that. Because you have to travel to write the exam. So after you pass PLAB 2, you will be eligible for GMC registration and a license to practice. Now, GMC registration requires EPIC verification. I know I'm just speaking German, but these are just steps that they take to verify that your medical school is up to par. So, is it the standard that the UK wants, something like that? And then they would check and verify that it's actually you that went to the medical school. Your medical school would tell them that, yes, we're the one that gave this person this certificate. Just some sort of precaution, just that everybody will not just go and get GMC registration. But yeah, it's all part of the steps involved. So once you've done that, once they verified that, okay, your certificate is genuine, you got it from a university that is recognized by the GMC, which is the General Medical Council, which is who will give you your license, then you can go ahead and register. Now, there are a couple of documents and things you require for your GMC, but I usually say it depends. It varies from person to person. So you can wait until they tell you these are the documents you should send before you send any documents, or you can have all the generic ones prepared and only send what they ask you to send. Now, the documents you need are very straightforward, nothing too dramatic. So your certificates that you've graduated, they don't ask for transcript. Nobody wants your transcript. They just need the certificate. They need your completion of housemanship form as well, just to show that okay, you've done housemanship. If you've not done, you say you've not done. Okay. Then what else do they need? It depends. So if your university is one that is not in English, they'll ask you provide transcripts or something like that. They also need your OET, IELTS results as well. And then some sort of identification. So maybe passports, international passport or ID card, something like that. And then a passport photograph of yourself as well. But yeah, so when you get there, I usually say don't panic, don't sweat it. When you get to that point, you will be asked to provide the documents that they require. The worst part of it is filling the form and actually doing the registration, which most people don't do thoroughly, and that's where the GMC problem starts. It takes them 10 days to reply you, so just do it, settle down, do the forms once for all time, and then if they need anything else, they would ask you to provide them. Okay. Yes, I think they also ask for certificate of good standing as well, which you can get from the MDCN. So yeah, that's the whole journey. Basically, I do have really detailed videos on this on my YouTube channel, and on TikTok as well. A couple of them are on Instagram, but I think mostly on TikTok. But I would do an updated version hopefully very soon to give all the new changes and all that has now been put into place. Um, yeah, so I think one of the major thing to consider when thinking about PLAB is finances. That's one. Many people will say, "Oh, why don't you just go to the US?" Yada yada yada. Yes, the US is still very very much viable. I say if you can do it, go for it. But most people I've seen they use PLAB as a stepping stone because earning money in pounds is not the same as any money in naira. All right, you cannot if you want to save up for USMLE earning in naira, that will take you another 5-10 years. If you're already here, it's it's faster. At least that's what most of my colleagues did, and they've used the UK as a stepping stone to go to the US, Canada, Australia, wherever they want to go. So that's another thing to consider. So I would say finance wise, the whole journey from PLAB 1, including all your travels, paying for the exam, paying for your study materials, for PLAB 2, traveling, paying for academy, accommodation, all that drama, and then GMC registration, paying for the actual thing and everything. I would say have at least £5,000. That's it. So I usually advise people to save in a foreign currency because Naira would depreciate. So either have a foreign account or have someone that is in the UK save the money for you instead of saving it in naira that will keep depreciating. Okay, but it's doable. That's the point I'm trying to say. It's doable, and you don't have to have everything all at once. You can do it. So you can stop and start as long as you know the next steps um to take once you are done. So it is still a viable option. Now I know there's a lot of rumor going on around about there are no jobs, people are suffering, yada yada yada. It's true. It's very, very true. I'm not even going to come here and lie to you guys. The road is getting tougher. However, if there's one thing I know is that if you don't do anything, nothing will get done, if that makes sense, right? If you sit down and you say, I'm not doing because the competition is more, because people are no longer getting jobs, that action of you sitting down and not doing anything does not change the facts. There are still people that are writing the exams, there are people that are getting jobs, there are people that are going from straight into specialty training. It's difficult, yes, but people are still doing it. All right. So if you say, oh no, UK is cancelled, then at least find something else. If you want to start your residency in Nigeria, do that. If you want to start it in the UK, in the US, Canada, Australia, then do that. But please don't give up on your abroad dreams just because it's difficult, just because, oh, things are now hard. Okay. Personally, my own journey has been really tough. It has been far from smooth, but we're still going. Okay. Now, when you finish your PLAB journey, this gives you ability to work in the UK as FY2, senior house officer, clinical fellow, locally employed doctor, right? So you can take any of all these roles. You don't necessarily have to be in any specialty training. Okay, so you apply for the job straight to the trust. You can do it on Track or any of all these job websites. Now, if you're trying and that's not working, the next step is to do a specialty training exam. Now, the most common one I think most people would have heard of is the MSRA, the Multi Specialty Recruitment Assessment Test. Now, this is becoming, really crowded. I think last January it was like 20,000 people applied and for only 4,000 jobs. But yeah, so that's also another way to go in. You have to make sure you get a really high score for you to be able to get into specialty training, and then that will give you a job straight from the bat. So I think the advice people get now is to say just take the MSRA after you get your GMC registration, because I think now they've changed it. In those days, you are able to write the MSRA after PLAB 1, but now you have to write it after PLAB 2. You need to have GMC registration for you to be able to write MSRA now. So I would still advise people to write it, right? If you are trying to get a job and it's not working out, just take the MSRA. There are other pathways as well. So you can do the specialty exam for the specialty. So MRCS, for example, for surgery, MRCP for internal medicine and stuff like that. There are other pathways that people don't really like to explore because as international medical graduates, you are already at a disadvantage, okay? Because most of the things they do here, we don't do. We don't have portfolios, we don't do audits, we don't do what's it called? QIPs. Those things are foreign. But people that are already here, they already have that upper hand. So most IMGs don't explore these things. But in this day and age, I feel a lot more awareness has come into, building a CV, building a portfolio. And there are so many groups that actually help people to get into research, audits, and stuff like that that can boost your chances to get into specialties without even using the MSRA. Okay, so that is also a viable pathway. Okay, so if you do want to come to the UK, if that is still something you want to do, by all means. And things change ever so often. In those days, there used to be theory in plab. People used to write essays, but now they don't do that anymore. So things can change overnight. If there's one thing I've learned from the UK is that they make rules and regulation just like that. So don't give up just because it's looking bleak right now, because things can change. Before you finish writing your own, they've changed everything. They've opened up more spaces or something just changed. It's better that you are prepared to take advantage of the change than is now you will now be like, oh, okay, let me start. Where do I start from? So if it's something you really want to do, you can always start. And like I said, there's no hard and fast rule. You can still come to the UK and change and say, okay, I want to go to the UK, the US now. I want to go to Canada. I want to go to Australia. It gives you a really nice stepping stone to go anywhere else. GP trainees, for example, when you finish your training as a general practitioner, 3 years, you are done. You can go to Canada straight. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to write in the exam. Nothing. Just go. So it's a really good stepping stone, right? So it's something I would want, people to consider, even if you're hearing all the awful things happening um, around the UK, doctor drama. So yeah, I still believe it's a viable option. More difficult one, more dramatic one now, but it's still viable. Okay. So yeah, I think I've touched on most of the things. Alternative pathways, yes. So for people still in medical school, there are two pathways that you can try. So like this you can think about in advance. The UK Foundation program, which is like their internship or housemanship, and the UK F2 standalone program. Now, the foundation program is really nice for people that are still in medical school and you want to finish and do your house job or internship in the UK. You do have to apply well in advance. I can't remember when now, but I think it opens up in the beginning of the year because it starts, or is it late? I think late in the year, since somewhere September or so, because you need to start in August. So if you're in 500 level, 600 level, that's a really nice pathway to explore. You do, however, still need to take the PLAB exams, but the requirements are a bit different. Okay. I think I did a video about it as well. It's on my TikTok page, so please do well to check it out. Then the F2 standalone program is also similar. It's just that you've already done your internship, okay, but you've only done 1 year of internship, and you just want to maybe you want to just get an ease into the NHS lifestyle, how it feels like to work in the UK with some extra, with some extra supervision. The F2 standalone program is perfect. So you would write the PLAB exams as well. I think they also do a little situational judgment test as well. And then you get it. So the beauty of it is that you get assigned, they give you the jobs from the program pool. You don't need to start applying to companies or trusts. The um foundation program people, they do it for you. All right. So you don't need to stress yourself, which is really good. It helps you. And then you do rotate from different departments to different departments, which gives you so much experience. You see what it's like to work in those places um, in the UK. So those are the two things. So if you are still in medical school, consider the UK Foundation program. If you've just graduated, you are doing your housemanship, or um, you feel like you won't be able to finish all the exams until you're done with your house job, then also consider the F2 standalone program. But if not, please carry on as usual. Finish medical school, do your house job, do your NYSC if you need to, and then just continue doing something while preparing to jackpot in the background. Okay. I usually say don't burn all the bridges yet. Okay, just have something you're working towards while you're also considering traveling abroad, just so that you are not left without any options, because these things are expensive. So you do need something to be able to fund whatever pathway you decide, and then you go really crazy if you are trying to work on something and it's not working out and you don't have anything else to do to lead you into depression. Okay, so having something else going on in the background also helps to give you some sort of stability, and some consolation just in case things don't go the way you plan. Okay. But yeah, I think I've talked for a very long time now. There's still a lot of things to cover. So please follow me if you're on any of the social media platforms. I would come up with more updated version of my videos, including more details about the MSRA and specialty training. I've actually discovered some pathways that people don't even talk about at all. And the truth is, you wouldn't know unless you ask, unless you are in the system. All right. So something for you guys to look forward to. Okay. So I'll leave you guys for to answer the questions. If there are any questions, I don't know how this works. But if there are any questions, please. Oh, I'm seeing it now. Okay. Perfect. So moderator, how are we doing the
Okay, for the questions that have been asked already in the comment section, I'll just read them out and then you answer
yes.
them. So please, if you have questions, please ask. As she said, there are a lot of things that she did not dive deeper into. So there are so many things that you can ask and get clarifications on. Someone asked about your TikTok username.
Oh, can I type it in the chat? Okay. Uh oh, no. Oh, I can't type, unfortunately. But it's just if you type Dr. Cho on TikTok, you would see me there. In fact, if you go on Google and you type Plab Journey, I'm one of the suggestions. So this is my video, which is really
Okay,
cool.
that's very beautiful.
All right, but it's just Dr. Cho. I'm Dr. Cho everywhere. So Dr. Cho on TikTok, Dr. Cho on Instagram, but my full name on LinkedIn, then Showe Bature on YouTube. Um, I'll send them to you, moderator, if you want to share it to your
Definitely,
people.
I'd love to have them as well. Thank you, Ma.
That's fine.
Okay, someone just asked, I'm a fifth year medical student
Mhm.
aspiring to specialize in neurosurgery. What pathway do you think is the best for me?
Well, neurosurgery in my back. Yes. So neurosurgery in UK is very what's the word, competitive. However, it's still doable. So for neurosurgery, you would need to go through the surgery part. So you would have to go through the normal PLAB 1, PLAB 2, and then apply to do core surgical training. Then after core surgical training, you now go into higher specialization where you decide you want to do neurosurgery, you want to do general surgery, you want to do um urology, whatever it is you want to do. So it's still the same baseline pathway. Now, another thing you can do is you can start your surgical training in Nigeria, yeah, and then just take MRCS, which is the surgical specialty exam. Take MRCS, and then you can come straight and start your training in the UK without going through PLAB. Yes, I actually discovered that recently. Okay, so you can also do that. That's an alternative pathway. Start in Nigeria, take the MRCS, and just import your training to the UK. So with that one, you can even start at a higher level. Okay, so maybe you can start from your second year or third year. That works as well, but it's still the same steps. All right,
Okay, thank you so much, Ma, for that response. Omini, I hope
it's
that
still the same steps.
your question. Okay, Ma. I hope that your response. I hope that you're satisfied with that response. Okay, moving on to the next
Can you guys hear
question.
me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Wow,
From
moderator
the
is
same
quiet.
person. Um,
Or is it me?
okay. Do you offer mentorship, one-on-one mentorship? Hello, Ma, can you hear me?
I can't hear anything. Hold on. Oh, I don't know what happened to my audio.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
It seems to be working.
Okay, Ma, can you hear
Please
me
drop a
now?
comment if you can hear me, because I don't know. I can't hear anything.
Okay, it seems our speaker is having technical
Okay,
issues.
thank you. All right. So that's it. So if you are still in medical school and you say, oh, you want to go through the F2, the foundation program or the F2 standalone, that's up to you. But it's still the same process. For neurosurgery, I would say you want to get all the advantages that you can get. So probably doing your foundation training in the UK would help boost your chances of preparing your portfolio to do surgical training. So consider the foundation program since you are still in medical school.
Okay, thank you, Ma. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, from the same person, do you offer one-on-one mentorship?
Actually, I do. I did it for a couple of months. It's just that I feel some type of way asking people to pay me. It was very, very discounted. It was, how much was it? It was £5. And you have people say, oh, doctor, I don't have anything. No, I'm the only doctor in my village. And I can't. So I was giving off of so much of my time and energy for no compensation. So I had to take a break. I have a mentorship group on Telegram at the moment, which is really dead because I have been very busy. But next year I do plan to get back on it and do stuff. During this period, I've helped a couple of people with their applications, with walking them through GMC registration and all that drama. At least those are more of the people I work with. But with medical students, I don't think I've had um any long-term one-to-one, just advice on medical school and stuff. But yeah, if you are interested, please send me a DM and we can work out something. I'm more than happy. I've helped people that I don't even know. And like I said, I find it difficult to ask people for money, which I'm going to change next year. But yes, it's something I can do.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma. Omini, so if you're interested in getting one-on-one mentorship after the session, I'll get across to everyone her contact details, and we also love to have your Telegram group link when it
Yes.
becomes active. Yeah,
Yes. I would say
thank you so
join
much.
now, just so that in case there's anything else, I would
Oh,
then, yeah, disperse the information on there. So it's there. We do share materials, textbooks. My free guide to PLAB is there as well. So just a couple of small things like that. And I'm always happy to reply messages that are there. So if you ask a question on the group, I'll be more than happy to reply. And then if you have something that, if you have questions and people that have been in the group know about the answers, they would definitely answer you, which is a really nice thing. It's a really nice community, to be honest. So yeah, I'll send you the links to those as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma. It's a very wonderful platform to be on. Okay, for the next question, someone is asking, what is the UK Foundation program about? This person is in final year. From a
Okay.
final year student, what is the UK Foundation program about?
All right. So the UK Foundation program is just like our house job equivalent. So it's equivalent to house job in Nigeria. So in Nigeria, we do house job or internship. In the UK, they call it the foundation program. So the UK foundation program is 2 years and they do it immediately after medical school. So for their students, people that graduate from UK medical school, they get assigned to a university, a trust, whatever, to do their foundation program, just the way it is in Nigeria, where you apply and then you go to, excuse me, a teaching hospital or a state hospital to do your housemanship, something similar. Okay. Now there's opportunity for IMGs to do that as well if you go through the application process. So, like I said, I have a video that talks about it in detail. So you have to go through eligibility criteria. Things that will make you eligible is that you must not have done any internship in the past. That's one. Um, what else is there? You need to have good standing with your university. If you've not graduated, you need a letter from your dean of students to say this person is still in medical school and we know that they are here. Just a confirmation from them. If you have graduated, you need a certificate or proof that you have graduated, something like that. And then you put in the eligibility application. Now, if you're eligible, then they would invite you to come and apply, and then they would, it's just like a ballot system. So you put your name in the pool and then they'll tell you if you are eligible or not and then give you a position. So if they put you in a trust, fine and good, you have a job for 2 years, secured, no shaking. And you're going to rotate different departments, different places. And the beauty of that is that you are under Health Education England. So they can't just sack you or say, oh, go back home. Mm-mm. Not until you finished your 2 years. So that's 2 years guaranteed in the UK doing your housemanship. And the beauty of it is that when you finish, you can then transition into the system because you already have, by default, 2 years NHS experience, which is what most people are looking for. And in that time, you build your portfolio, you do all your research, audits, quality improvement projects, you build relationships with consultants, seniors. It's really good. I've seen people here that did it and, they're thriving. You wouldn't even know that they're international medical graduates. That's the
That's good.
advantage of it. Yes, that's the advantage of it. Just that most people don't know about it. And because it's such a it's something you have to plan years, months in advance. Because for example, if you want to do for 2026, you need to have already applied now. All right. If you want to do for 2027, you have to apply in 2026. So it's something that people don't know about until it's already, oh, we've missed the application window, and then it's still the next year. So it's a bit difficult. But knowledge is power. If you know in advance, you can prepare and plan towards it, which is why I said people in medical school, 500 level, 600 level, this is your time. Check and see when the next application is. Just apply. It doesn't hurt anything. If you try and they say, oh, you're not eligible, no problem. You go and do your plab one, plab two, do your thing normally. Like it doesn't change anything, but put your name in the ballots just to see if it will work out. That's what I usually say. Just throw it in there. It's a very viable option. Okay. And then saves you from doing NYSC. Which is a waste of time.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma. The UK Foundation program does really sound very interesting. Okay, we'll be taking the last two questions for this session. Our time is fast spent. We'll be having the second session very soon. Okay, the last two questions from Busayo and Abraham.
Mhm.
How much will a what's the total cost of PLAB? Yeah, that's what the person is asking. That's what Sai asking. And for Abraham, for someone who is interested in oncology,
Mm.
is there any other standalone program other than PLAB?
Okay, so for the costs, like I said, I give an estimate of 5,000. It's 5,000 pounds, not naira, please. um, I usually use the foreign currency because for the exchange rate fluctuates all the time. So it's difficult to say it's 10 million naira or 20 million naira. Convert it to pounds. Use the pounds equivalent. Okay. But yeah, I did do a breakdown of it. However, the cost of these things keep changing. So, like I said, I will do an updated video to tell you guys what the new cost is. Because the last one I did, Plab 2 alone is £998 for Plab 2. And I've heard that it's now £1,005 as of April. So it keeps increasing. So that's just one part of the exam. You've not talked about flights, you've not talked about academy, you've not talked about accommodation. There's so many things. Okay. Um, but yeah, cost is one thing that people shy away from. But I would say don't wait until you have all the money gathered. Start small. You can save a considerable sum that can help you start the process as long as you're keeping in mind the expiration period. So for IELTS OET, you have 2 years. For PLAB 1, another 2 years. Once you pass PLAB 2, nothing else expires. You are good and done. Okay, so that gives you about like a 3-4 years window to take all the exams. That's a reasonable amount of time. So if you're in medical school, start saving now. I would say save in foreign currency, but the goal should be at least £5,000 that you can blow on this whole process. Okay. I do have like, should I say, curated things that are cost effective in your journey. So for academies, the cheaper ones that are still good, accommodation where you can stay. I'm actually thinking of planning a group for people that can actually just squat with people instead of paying £500 to stay for a week. It's very expensive. Okay. So stay tuned for that because I know cost is one of the things that is really discouraging. A lot of people are struggling with that. I did a video on how to save up and the cost effective ways to plan yourself, for your plan journey. That will be on my TikTok. That's on my TikTok as well. But yeah, £5,000 at least. But don't wait until everything is on a platter before you start. That will not happen. Okay.
Thank you
Then
so
for the
much.
other question,
For
yeah,
your
sorry. Yeah, the one for oncology. Now, there's no, not that I know of personally for oncology, it's still the same process. Now, if you have an interest in oncology, I usually say, I know the only person I know that is in oncology right now, he did normal lab journey and started working as, I think, a clinical fellow in an oncology department. And from there, he went through internal medicine. Yeah, I don't know. That was how I know he entered into oncology. So oncology on its own, I think it has like a separate department with their own requirements. That can, you can check the requirements and see what specifically it is for oncology. I've never been interested in oncology, so I won't lie and say I know what it is. But for an international medical graduate, like I've said, even with the neurosurgery department, it's still the same thing. You do need to have some certain level of qualifications before you can then say, oh, I want to subspecialize. All right. Because oncology is not like, what should I say now? GP. In fact, even with GP, you still need to have something before you can say, oh, I want to do this specialty. And I don't think there's an oncology specialty exam. I think it's still under MRCP. You need to write that physician exam before you say, okay, go straight into oncology training. So it's still the same process. You still need to go through the PLAB drama, get that out of the way.
So,
Then you can.
so the Q&A session for the first speaker is about to round up.
But yeah, that is it. Any other questions before I run away? But yeah,
That
my
seems
DMs
all
are open. My
and
DMs are open. If you do want to have a chat, feel free. I'll try my best to reply. I reply more on Instagram than TikTok, unfortunately. I have like 600 messages on there that I have refused to check. So please. And my email address is also open. At least I think that one your moderator has. Um, so yeah.
okay, thank you so much. I think that's all. Um, Before we call up our second speaker, okay, thank you so much, Ma, for a wonderful time. I'm sure every single one of us here enjoyed the session. Truly, I enjoyed it very well.
Wow,
Um, I enjoyed it very well, and we'd love to keep in touch with you. We'd love to
definitely.
have your socials, and I'm sure right now there are many people in my DMs that are asking for your TikTok and the Telegram link. So I'll get that across to everyone right
Okay.
after the session ends. Thank you so much, Ma.
No
It was
problem.
great having you here.
Anytime. Thank you for
Have
having
a good
me.
night,
You
Ma.
guys are so you guys are more serious than we were back in medical school. So. Kudos.
Thank you, Ma.
All right. Have
Okay, right away, we'll be introducing our next speaker for our next session, which is the USMLE pathway. But before we call up our second speaker, I'll be reading a brief citation on our second speaker, Dr. Chukuma Franklin. Dr. Chukuma Franklin is a graduate of the University of Nigeria Medical School. He is passionate about medical education, clinical research, cardiovascular health, and improving health through community engagement and advocacy, targeting underreserved, targeting underserved and economically disadvantaged populations. He has completed both Step 1 and Step 2 USMLE exams while in his fifth and final year and has successfully mentored and coached countless others to do the same. He is currently a house officer at one of the hospitals in Lagos, where he is honing his clinical skills while preparing to pursue his career in internal medicine and hopefully cardiology in the nearest future. With that, join me as I welcome to the stage Dr. Chukwuma Franklin. Good evening, sir. We're very glad to have you, sir. You may take the stage.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good
Can
evening,
can
sir.
I be heard?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I'm using an earpiece, so if at any point you can't hear me, just let me know, please. Thank you very much.
No
So I'd
problem,
love
sir.
to turn on my camera, or there's no lights where I am currently, so I don't think I just feel like I'll share my slide. I created like um a little slide to just help guide my thoughts while I talk.
Okay,
So
thank you so much, sir. We'd love that.
um I'm trying to figure out. Everybody hear me? Can
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
I'm trying to figure out a way to share the slides. So that's what I'm trying to do now. How do I share the slides, please? Or do I send them to you and then you share?
Okay, I believe that I can do that.
Okay, I'll send them to you now. Um, Give me a minute, please. Okay, I just sent them to you. So,
Okay, I have received them. Please hold on a second. Mm, Okay, so you can go on. I'll be
okay,
sharing.
okay,
You can go on
okay.
before I share my
All
screen.
right, all right, everybody. Good evening, everyone, once again. My name is Chukuma Franklin. I am a house officer, a professor keeper. I'm working personal to myself for now. Um, it's a privilege to be here talking to you people. I find it. I was listening to Dr. Cho uh, before I got called up, and just like she said, the amount of information that we have currently is something that we should use to our advantage because it was not like this in the past. Like the things we know and the things that we're able to do while still in medical school is is limitless as it were because there's a lot that we can do. There's a lot more information that we have access to. There are a lot more people that are willing to guide us and tell us their own stories and just give us guidance and advice as we go along. So I'm a firm believer in helping out as much as I can because to get to this point, I know how many people that have gone to them like, oh, please, I need this, and they've come through for me in countless times. So I, as much as possible, try to give back. As is, if it is only information I can give back, I try to give it out like without any hesitation. So I will be talking about the USMLE exams. Like was said in the citation, I have completed both USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 exams, and I just graduated this year. So I graduated in August this year. And so before I finished my final MD, I was fortunate to um, complete both exams. And I'm currently putting in my application to apply for the match come June next year. So that's exactly where I'm at currently. So I feel like I'm at the right spot to give out information about this pathway because um, my foot is just about to get wet. I'm about to really get into the whole process. The people above might be too busy. They want to help, excuse me, but they might be too busy. The people that are currently in the match cycle, there's a lot of emotions currently flying around, so they might not really be the best people to actually act to. We that is just right behind them, we are not really feeling all that they're feeling. So I feel like we are the best spot to give this information. So without any further time wastage, I'll just go straight into it. So the USMLE exams stands for United States Medical Licensing Examination. It is a three-part exam. So it's called steps. So there's step 1, step 2, and step 3. Um, so the slide here, I don't know if Ella is broadcasting it already, but the slide is supposed to just help guide my thoughts so that I don't ramble on and on. So the exams require um, a lot of planning to do. Whether you intend to take it while in medical school, whether you intend to take it as a house officer, whether you intend to take it during what's it called NYSC, whenever you decide to take the exams, it's something that you need to actually have a plan. And before you even start doing any of all these things, you must have figured out, okay, this is place I want to move my life to. Like country wise, okay, I plan to live in Nigeria. This is the country that I plan to aspire. Plan A. This is the country I plan to fall back on aspire. Plan B if plan A doesn't work. It just makes sense that way. So going back to the USMLE exams, there is the step one, the step two, and the step three. Now, the step one is an exam that tests basically basic medical knowledge. That is, I don't know what it's called in your individual medical schools, but in my school it's called second MBBS exam and third MB exam. So second MB is anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, and then third MB is pathology and pharmacology. So that is what the step one exam tests. So anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, embryology, histology, and then pathology, pharmacology. You know, pathology is divided into all them morbid, um, campus, and everything is represented in the exam. That is just the way it is. So the best time to actually take the step one would be just after third MB class. Remember, third MB class is part and farm. But like I said, some schools do not give that the luxury of that space. We me for in my own situation, I got lucky. I got lucky because um my school, we had this period of short postings and medicine and surgery postings, M1, M1, S1 postings just before we started the courses for fifth year. So I utilized that time and I feel like I had free 9 months. It was not free possible. I could take out time because we had medicine posting, surgery posting, and then we started short posting, so anesthesiology, family planning, dermatology, all of all these ancillary postings. So it was during that time I wrote the step one exam. Now the step one exam is 7 hours, it's 8 hours, but you write the exam 7 hours proper and then 1 hour break. So we just stay that it is an 8 hour exam and it's an exam that is written in Ghana. There's currently no center to write the exam in Nigeria. So you have to travel to Ghana to write the exam, either by bus or by air, whatever works for you and depending on your finances. Now, I'll quickly say add that the exam is the whole process, basically, the USMLE process is a very expensive venture, as we probably already know. The step one exam, registration for the exam and writing the exam alone, excluding your flights, your hotel, your logistics, to get your passport, to get your yellow fever card, excluding all of that, should cost around $1,450, which is almost, if the exchange rate is not very clear, but that should be like around maybe 3 million just for step one exam. You have to do that again for the step two exam. So you already know that this is a very expensive venture, and we need to plan appropriately with whoever your sponsor is, your parents, your guardian, whoever you feel like is going to be churning out this money, because you cannot afford to um, start the start preparing for the exam and then stop halfway because of finances. So before you even start, you must have at least a part of your finance figured out. Not everything, because the whole process is quite expensive, but you spend in bits. You know what I'm saying? So if you're planning for step one, you must have at least the exam money figured out while you are preparing and writing the exam. Then you now start figuring out money for step two. That's how it happens. Now, to prepare for the step one exam, take around um, 4 to 10 months. Now, this is a very wide range if you can see, but it ideally takes around 7 months. When I was writing the step one exam, I started preparing actively from January and I wrote the exam in September. But that's 9 months. But I felt around August that I was ready for the exam. But unfortunately, I'd already booked for September. So there was nothing I could do other than just wait it out. But around August, the middle of August, I felt like I'd hit that point where I knew I was going to pass the exam. So it just happened. So it's just between that 7 to 8 months range is the perfect time, because you don't want to spend too long studying for the exam, because your the knowledge base starts to plateau. And after a while, it starts to go down because your brain starts to get tired of seeing the same information over and over and over and over again. So you just have to find that right spot to take the exam. And then the study materials, there are a couple of essential materials and a couple of things that you just see flying around everywhere. Based off of my own experiences and experience of my classmates and the people, some of my junior colleagues and their friends that who've spoken to and helped over the years prepare for the step one exam. I think you need just four essentials. The essentials that you need, non-negotiable, is the Boards and Beyond video lecture series, the Your World Question Bank, NBME questions, and the first aid book. The Boards and Beyond questions video lecture series, teaching series that explains everything that concerns the USMLE concisely, system-wise. And this is important because we know the medicine is medicine, yes, but the practice and the application of medicine differs. My classmates used to say there's tropical medicine and then there's temperate medicine. So tropical medicine is what we do here and what we see and the cases we see. So we need to we need to find a way to fine tune the knowledge we have into medicine to fit into the USMLE standards or the USMLE what's it called? I think this is what standard. So the best material that helps us achieve that is the Boards and Beyond lecture series because it just explains everything we need to know on the exam and everything we need to pass the exam and all that is needed for the USMLE system wise. So we go cardiovascular system, respiratory system, digestive system. It just goes like that system wise. And then you what question bank, which you already is this is another like I said, I already said this is an expensive venture. So the you what question bank to subscribe for 1 year costs $580 something. So you need to find a way to raise that. There are a couple of PDFs flying around, but I do not advise you to use that because you're not able to track your progress. And then the NBME questions I also found there is the people that set the USMLE exams is the NBMEs. NBME stands for National Board for Medical Education. They're the ones that set the exams and they released a set of questions that you can practice with that reflects how the main exam is going to be. So it is advised that you do not miss them. That's very essential. And then the first aid book, you can buy them around. There's a free copy of the first aid book online, I guess. So you can use that. Now, it is important to know that the way you use these materials will depend on how um, how good you are clinically from whatever you've done in med school. So if you're still in med school now and you're in the right spot to write the exam, or you are thinking of writing the exam, then the way you use these materials would depend on your baseline knowledge from med school. Let me put it that way. Okay, and then there are other non-essential things that you can use to supplement if you feel like you have gaps. Sketchy micro, if you feel like pharmacology is a weak point that you've read it over and over and it's not sticking, you can use sketchy farm. If you feel like you need a summary of the whole USMLE materials together, you can use Mailman's PDF. Is a compiled is a I think Mailman's PDF are great if you have the time to use them. And then there's also bootcamp, there is physio, there is online med ed, like couple of resources on the internet that you can use to supplement. But like I said, the core resources that you need, you can use alone and pass. If your baseline knowledge is good, is this four. It has been tested. I've used them. My classmates that have written the exam, I've used them. Some of my mentees that I coach, they've used them, and all of them have passed the exam, at least the step one exam. So that's that for the preparatory materials. Now, I would say that there are also a couple of WhatsApp forums where people can join and do study groups and all of that. Now, if you are a person that likes study groups, you use study group while in medical school, then by all means go ahead. But if you are someone that has been studying alone all the while, then there's no need to change what has been working for you. Once I tell most of my guys and my boys that I tell them that we're not trying to in at least in preparation for this exam, we're not trying to invent anything. We're not trying to chart a new path or something. We are doing exactly what every other person that has passed the exam has done. Because this is a standardized exam. They're not trying to trick us. So what everybody that passed the exam did is what we do. We are not trying to like figure out a new pathway or something because it's a standardized exam. You get what I'm trying to say. So now for the step two, I'm trying to rush through the slides so that I'll give room for questions at the end. The step two is a 9 hour exam. You write the exam proper for 8 hours, and then you have 1 hour break to be used as you like. So some people do one block, and the exam is written in blocks. So one block is 40 questions for 1 hour. After 40 questions, people go outside, stretch your legs for 30 minutes, come back to the second block. So like that, you can use the break time however you like. The exam is 9 hours in total, and now this is where it gets different. This is where it gets a bit more difficult. People online say step two is easier than step one. I did not find that to be so in my own case because it was I feel like the timing of the exam did I just wanted to get it done. So I wrote step one during like I said, during that I don't know what you call it in some schools call it electives. My school calls it short postings. So during short postings, that's when I wrote step one exam. But I wrote step two exam during final year. So the heat of final in fact okay, we are just past we just finished pediatrics and one GNB in January, and then I traveled home for like 2 weeks. I came back and started preparing for step two. So this was like during final year, and the it just happened that I wanted to get it done, focus on final year, and then do something else in my life during this period because I didn't want to start writing exams after final year. I felt like my brain would be fried. So I was just interested in writing exams. So I just did that. So the preparation, the cost for the exam, it cost around the same range for the step one exam, around another 1,450 to like 1,500 dollars. Now remember I said this does not include your flight to Ghana, it does not include logistics, does not include the hotel and whatever you spend for the duration of your stay in Ghana. So you have to also figure that out. And then step one is pass fail. So if you pass, you print your results, you just see pass. But step two is scored. Now this is where the problem is because if you prepared for the step one properly and you're used to the US mailing materials and all of that, you'll get to a point in your preparation for step two where you know you will pass the exam. But that's where your problem is just beginning because the exam is scored. So you need to figure out, okay, my level of preparation is going to give me what score range. So that's why it's a lot more difficult than it's a lot more difficult to prepare for step two than it is for step one because once you get to that point in step one that you know you've passed, you can easily confidently go and write the exam. But for step two, you have to find out what's your score range. You have to now start using all these tools and calculators online to actually try to predict your score based off of your performance on your assessment test that you would have done at home. Okay. The range of preparation is around 6 to 8 months. Like you can see, is usually shorter than that. Is usually shorter than step one. This is because step two is they just build on step one. There's this example I like to give when I like talk to people I talk to. So step one question can be like, I'm just giving an example off the top of my head. So step one, the question can be like, a man presented with an episode of fever, chest pain, and cough. On investigation, there is on sputum culture and whatever, you see um, gram-positive organisms in clusters. What's your diagnosis? That's that's looking like what step one will ask. So you can figure out, okay, this guy probably has community acquired pneumonia. This guy probably has systemic pneumonia. This guy probably has. You start figuring it out. But step two will come like, okay, a man presented with cough fever and chest pain. He presents to the hospital, emergency department, and his um he had an X-ray performed, which shows patchy infiltrates on the right lobe of the lung, and is admitted to the ICU. What is the next best thing to do? So first of all, you have to figure out that okay, this guy has pneumonia. Then you now start figuring out okay, what is the next thing? What is the next best thing? Or they can ask you, okay, what is the next investigation to do after your chest X-ray? Or they can just ask you a couple of other management like. So the point I'm trying to make is that step one is step two rather is built on your knowledge of step one. So I usually advise people that I talk to, I tell them that in your preparation for step one, while you know because the exam is pass fail, there's a lot of things, a lot has been shortened, a lot has been condensed in the preparation for the exam, and we can easily predict it will pass um, based on your performance in the NDME exam, in the NDME test. But even if now I'm choosing my words carefully, even if your knowledge your knowledge base is not sufficient enough, there's a way to pass the exam. This is the truth. This is fact. Because I've seen people that prepare for step one in 3 months. I mean, proper 3 months. But after those people, they go like maybe 16 hours per day reading and prepare for 16 hours per day. It just depends on what you want to achieve and the time you have to achieve it. But the point I'm trying to make is that the step two exam builds on the knowledge of step one, and the step two exam is scored. And this score is important for your residency application, which we'll talk about as we proceed. Now, um, it's important that you do well this exam, but it's also important that you don't dwell too much on your score. As long as you pass the exam and you pass with a fairly above average score, you're good to go because there are other aspects of your application that matter. That's just the truth. Okay, so the materials to prepare, everything I wrote here is essential, at least in my own experience, is essential. So you need the U word question mark. You say I didn't add Buzz and Beyond videos because I feel like those videos are they just stretch what you need to do without really they're not necessarily very high. So you need the Ambos library, you need the Ambos Q bank, you need the U word question bank, you need you need the Ambos question bank for some select topics like vaccinations, screenings, ethics. So like that, you once you open the Ambos library, you see some special topics that you can work on. And then you also need you need the NDME question, which is very essential. You also need the CMS forms. CMS forms are clinical mastery series. They're also created by the NDME, but they are created in subject based. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it. I don't think I mentioned it. I'll just mention it now. That the step two comprises of everything you've done after third MBBS till you graduate. So it comprises of pediatrics, comprises of O&G, comprises of medicine, comprises of surgery, comprises of emergency medicine, psychiatry. In fact, anything you do in your electives or short posting is there. It comprises of biostatistics, ethics, matter community medicine is there. So like it is a very good that's I feel like that's why the exam is standardized, that's why they take the scores very important because I want to do well to solidify your knowledge base just before you venture into all of this. Okay, I'm trying to move as fast as possible. Now, I feel like there's this inside joke I have with my friend. Yeah, we usually say the exams are hard. There's no easy way to say it that the exams are hard because even if it's just to sit down alone for 9 hours, by the time you're coming out of that hall, you can barely see the way to back to your hotel or back to because sitting down and concentrating using your brain for 9 hours looking at that screen is crazy. But we usually end up saying that the exams are hard, but the exams are the easiest part of the whole application process because once you've done the exam, it's now time to start playing the real match game because now you need to now start putting together a proper application, a proper CV. You need to start building a proper CV. So the first thing I'll tell everybody to do is this here. Go online, go to ChatGPT, go to Google, go to whatever, and type ERAS CV, ERAS CV. If you type it out, it will bring out the component of the era CV. Now, that component of the area CV is what you should spend after everything the exam, is what you have to spend time building and bringing forth good evidences. It is important because the score is just one part of the CV. So if the score is the CV has I think 10 components and the score is just one. So you see that you've done very hard things though, but you are just starting. You still have a lot of other a lot more complicated and very subjective aspect of the application to go through because the score is objective. You score 210 is your 210. And I think I forgot to mention the passing score for the what's it called? Step two, I think is you need to have the minimum the passing to pass, you need to get at least 220 to pass. So 220 is the minimum score and to progress like that. So before you start building your CV or while you are building your CV, because these things are not mutually exclusive, you have to figure out what's it called the you now have to become ECFMG certified. It means that you have to now show that you are proficient in English language, which doesn't make sense to me because almost all of us we are taught in English. We are very fluent in English language, but that's not the purpose of this whole webinar at this point. So you have to write the OET. I think the OET, I think I write it in Lagos, in Abuja, and Ibadan. A couple of centers in Nigeria, but this one is written in Nigeria. So you have to prepare and write the OET. And there's a minimum passing grade that is required for the OET exam to the ECFMG. Because you write the OET exams. The OET exam costs, I think, $455 to $460. And then you now have to apply for ECFMG certification. This is because you're an international medical graduate, you have to be certified that you have attained the minimum standard that is required to practice in the US. So you have to now be ECFMG certified. And to be ECFMG certified costs around, I think, $900 or $950. So you have to do that too. And then once you've done that, it takes a while, depending on if you are applying for SFMG certification while you've not finished house job, it's a separate pathway. If you apply for a certification after you finish house job, it's a separate pathway. But that is not why we are. But the myth of the matter is that you have to be SFMG certified, and then you now have to start filling. Now, I'll come back to this slide. So let me just go straight to my personal thoughts because I feel like this is where I get to speak more people that I'm actually talking to. Okay. Um, Now, the first point is the first thing I would like to say is we're almost running up. Is very expensive, is very, very emotionally draining, and is also very can be very rewarding if you play right. It can be very rewarding if you um if you made up your mind, just like Dr. Cho was saying, if you made up your mind that okay, this is what you want to do, then might as well go all in. But you can't just sit on the fence and then decide that okay, this is expensive, this one is expensive, this one is expensive. Not doing anything is also very expensive because it adds up at the end of the day. So just make up your mind, okay, this is what I want to do. And then start figuring out ways to do it. Because I don't say any other way. You understand? So this is a game of numbers. And you need to know how to you need to know exactly what is required of you. You need to know exactly if because like I once you've written the exams, you've done as hard as those exams are, like I said earlier, those are the easier parts. You've done those parts and you are done. Now you now get into the parts that are very the part is very they are very subjective. The next thing I want to say is you need to surround yourself with a community of people that are achieving the same goals. So that's why um, initiatives like this, people coming to talk to you, coming to like share their opinions and coming to share what they think you should be doing. It matters because it can light it can lit a fire in your heart, and then you surround yourself with people like that are doing the same thing. In my class, we are currently 7 that are facing the USMLA exams, and we have a group where we usually send information, send news, send send like we just talk to each other daily, talk to each other daily. You understand? So just to share, we're not all gisting, we are sharing information that is necessary and important to what we are all chasing. You understand? So you need a community of people that is doing the same thing that you are doing. Because the thing is, each everybody has one or two people that is actually guiding and mentoring them. But if we are 10 people and each person has two mentors, if we bring everything together, we have a lot more people that are actually speaking and recommending us when it matters. So it's very important that you find a community of people that are doing exactly what you're doing. Now, you need to find mentors. You need to reach out to people on whatever social media platform you feel like you can find them. People are trying to build their brands. People are trying to actually take off a couple of things on their CV. And mentoring is one of the things that is falls under the CV. So you need to find a way to be useful to whoever you're asking to be your mentor. So if you want to reach out to somebody and the person is involved in research, the fastest way to go about getting that person to actually listen to you is to tell the person you want to help them with their research, or you're interested in this thing that they're interested in and you feel like you can contribute and make their life easier. The point I'm trying to make is that people are busy, people are stressed, and um, after telling somebody to come and mentor me, almost always will not work. So you need to find a way to that they now find it in their own interest to take you under their wings. It's just how it is. It's how the game is played in real life. And then now another thing that people will say, mention is maybe once I get 50, God of 50, rescue me this one. I will start preparing well from the next MB. I want to put it to you that grades matter. Your school grades matter. They matter because in your application process, there is something that is called your dean's letter. Your dean is supposed to send a document to wherever you are applying to. And the content of your dean's letter is what he thinks about you. And you know how deans are. I don't know about you, but my school, anything you want my dean to sign or anything you want my dean to actually say, okay, anything you want him to write, if he doesn't know you personally, the first thing he's requesting for is your result. Just to have a picture of you and what it is he's supposed to write. Now, this is very important because it's one of the most critical part of your application is your dean's letter or your medical school performance evaluation. That is, and it is your dean that's going to write it. And he's most probably going to write it based off of your score that he pulls out of your folder. So it matters. Now, there's some people that no matter what I say, will not leave 52, 51, 50, and keep escaping. Then, if that is the way it is, then you must find other ways to make yourself and your application stand out. That takes me to my next point. Document everything that you are doing. Now, the component, if you go online and you search for the components of the era CV, you see that there is volunteering, there is mentorship and teaching, there is military service, there is a couple of other things that I can't think of off the top of my head. And the funny thing is, most of those things that are in that CV are things that we would have done one way or another while in medical school. Now, I don't know whether anybody is in CMD or FECAMS. All of all those outreaches that you could go for to secondary schools, to all those the rural outreaches, all those things are things that fascinate most of these programs. You must find a way to document everything. When I say everything, I mean everything, because um, and you must find a way to put it together to tell a compelling story about the kind of person you are and the kind of doctor you want to be. Now, this is very important because you are dealing with people that most of the time are big on community service, serving underserved areas, serving people that are struggling with resources and all of that. And these are things that you've probably done a couple of times. All of all these your outreaches. Now, my school has medics, they have medros. Now, those are all of all these any leadership position you've held before, everything, whether it's leadership position in the class, whether it's for any committee, whether it's in the sports team, anything at all matters. In fact, everything matters. If you can find a way to document it and tell a compelling story about the kind of person and kind of, most importantly, the kind of doctor you are. Now, um, when you decide on a specialty, so for some people, they want to do surgery. I had the guy talking to Dr. Cho that said he wants to become a neurosurgeon. Some people, I also had the guy that said he wants to become an that's interested in oncology, which is beautiful. Once you've decided, for some of us, for some people, they've not decided on um, specialty. They like everything and they say that they're doing everything, which is fine. um, for some of for some people that have decided that okay, this is the specialty I want to go to. Then once you've made up your mind, then you must lock into that specialty. You must look for people that have graduated from your school, that have graduated from your country, that is doing exactly that thing you want to do, and start reaching out to them. It's important because those are people that will now tell you exactly what it will take because their profiles are similar to you, are probably similar to yours. So if a hospital has if a hospital has a history of taking people from Nigeria, there's a very high chance that as a Nigerian, you can get in if you fit what they want. But if a hospital has, you go through their website and they have um, 90% Indians and no single African, I'm not talking Nigerian, no single African, the chances that you will get into that place is very slim because number one, they don't know you. Number two, your profile and the people that they are historically more keen to take into their programs. It's different. It's just how it is. So you must find out people that if you've decided that okay, I'm going to be a cardiologist, you must now tally your whole application to fit to tell one whole story. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Um, Another thing is this. Yeah, I'm moving very fast, so we'll round up soon. Another thing is this: start on time. Now, I have this friend, and um, there's something we usually say. I tell her that if you put 10 people and you tell them everything you know about the USMLE process or about PLA process, about any process whatsoever, the percentage of people that will do anything with that information out of those 10 people is 20%, if I'm being very generous. The point I'm trying to make is this will probably not be the last time you hear people come to talk to you about all these multiple processes, all these multiple pathways to actually further your education and become a competent doctor and japa and have a good life. The point is, you need to start, you need to act, you need to actually put your foot to the ground, get your feet wet, and start. Start early. If you're still in medical school and you can figure out your finances, write the exam. Like I said, it's a very expensive venture. Most of the time, the limiting step of the exam and all these things is finances. We get so if you can figure out the finances, write the exam. If you excuse me, if you cannot write the exam and you know that you still want to chase this process, then the other aspect of your CV, of the era CV that you know you will need whenever you are ready, start working on them. The point is, don't just sit on your hands and say, Nigeria go better. Ah, Nigeria don't spoil finish. It's now more difficult to come out of the country. Trump is chasing everybody away. Ah, Trump is using ice to carry everybody. Like, there's, if you like, well, let me know. So, that is the point. Now, okay, I already said download the copy of the era CV. I think like that should be the first thing. Download the copy of the era CV. I know, okay, I have this, I don't have this, I have this, I don't have this. So that if you're really interested in writing this exam, like I said, which is difficult, but usually the easiest part of the application, if you cannot figure out the monetary aspect of it now, which is understandable, a lot of us cannot afford it. It's okay. But the other things on the CV are things that you can work on while you are getting ready. And then start looking out for sponsors. I school in Enugu, and in Enugu there's an organization that is called FESP that sponsors people to write step one and step two. They pay for your step one, they pay for your step two. In fact, I heard that they pay for the whole thing down to when you match. So, but the to get in is what I did not know because I didn't use them. A classmate of mine is currently, I think, is currently using them. So, so there are sponsors like that littered around. Most of the time, they are not loud, so you can easily try to reach out, try to talk to people. They just the point is don't sit on your hands because there's something that is very important there because immediately you graduate, your year of graduation starts to count. And for most programs, it is preferred, sometimes required, that your year of graduation should be less than 5 years. So if you do house job, that's 1 year. If you do NYC, that's 2 years. If you maybe use 1 year to write those exams, that's 3 years. And then maybe you now apply. They already consider you as an old graduate. So that's why it is important that you start on time so that if money is the only thing that you don't have, then you know that okay, if by chance this money comes, you now know that okay, there is an action plan waiting to just be executed. And then yes, another that is very important is your school professors, your consultants in whatever hospital, whatever school you're in. Your consultants, they play an important role because number one, another aspect of your application is your letters of recommendation. Your consultants that have seen your work, they have to write letters of recommendations for you. So the person you meet to write a letter of recommendation matters a lot for two reasons. One is that the letter itself carries a lot of weight in your application. It does. Two is that your consultants, your professors, they have classmates. And most of these classmates, we are not the first of people that is migrating. We're not the first of people that is trying to leave the country. It is a lot louder now because is what is in vogue. Previous generation, what was in vogue was writing primaries and getting to residency in Nigeria. But right now here, what is in vogue is trying to live and all of that. So it makes sense that ours is a little louder, ours is a little out there, which is fine. The point is, every generation has, every class, in fact, every class has somebody that will leave. This is the way I think about it. So if your consultants, your professors, if they have classmates that are currently abroad, they can easily make that introduction and it will cost nothing. I'll give a quick example here. I'm in CMBA and during our Stanford, the guest of honor, the guy, no, not the guy, he's a professor of general surgery. He was just teaching, he was preaching. Like, he touched something at the Stanford to him. He was preaching and he just mentioned casually that his classmates from the US, I think he was trying to make a point and he just digressed, that his classmate from the US just came back and they had a good time a couple of days ago. And that he's a chairman of one, I think a group of hospitals or something, and is the head of all pulmonologists in a cold state. Now, me that I am trying to, oh, this is what I'm trying to do. What did you think I did next? I got a bottle of wine, the cheapest I could find, and I walked into his office. Thanks be to God, we're cordial on both same day fronts, and I was also posted under his unit. I said, sir, this is what I want to do. This is, can you please make an introduction? I said, yeah, fine, there's no problem. All this was just a phone call. That's so this kind of things happen based off of your own consultants. Another thing is that most of your consultants they are involved in research, they're involved in quality improvement, they're involved in a lot of projects. So it's an avenue to just walk up to them and say, sir, this is your research. Oh. Can I uh, help you with your data collection? I want my name to be on the research paper. They most of the time will say yes. It's just how it is. So the point is your school, your professors, your consultants, people that are in your teaching hospitals, they matter. They have classmates that are involved in research. They are professors. It means something. And if you are trying to go into a career that you're not very sure, you can also come up to the professor and say, sir, I'm trying to become a cardiologist. So I want to get insight into what the career is like now. And okay, what do you think is going to happen in 10 years' time based off of your professional experience? Just go with a bottle of wine, go with juice, go with Chivita Active. These are that 2,000 naira can buy you a lot of goodwill, is the point I'm trying to make. I'm rounding up now. Um, okay. Never isolate yourself. I think I said it before. Work together, work as a team. Um, there is no, this Nigerian phenomenon. There is no, when you want to travel, you don't tell anybody till you've gone. You know, say, I've gone. It doesn't work like that here. You must obviously can't. They say that you don't want to put your business out on the street, but you want to um talk to as many people that you think matter. Put yourself out there. Post on LinkedIn, post on Facebook, post on Twitter. That this is exactly what I'm trying to do. Please, oh, I need help. I need advice. Enter people's DMs. The highest they will do is ignore you. And even when they ignore you, it's probably because they are busy, not because they find you irritating. And even when they ignore you, they're taking notes. I know a guy, that's what he told me. He said he's responded because I sent him a message on LinkedIn that this is what I'm doing. I see what you're doing now. I admire what you're doing. Do you mind if we can like work together and if you can just show me, just let me help me get a hang of it. And he didn't respond. And a couple of days, weeks later, he responded. Was like, he saw my message and he was impressed, but he didn't respond because he was busy. So most of the time, once you text people, once you reach out to people, they will not even respond to you. Not because they find you irritating, just because okay, they just make a mental note like okay, I know this person. And when the time comes, trust me, they know you. And if you see the list of, I was talking to residents currently, and he was trying to tell me that the list of things that are important when programs or hospitals select people that they take is number one, the people that knows you, people that are making case for you inside of those rooms and inside. He said that is the most important thing that he has seen it happen in his firm. So what I'm trying to say is that it matters. It matters. That the most important thing is reach out to people, tell them, and make yourself valuable enough that they want to associate with you. That's just how it is. Okay, and then I feel like one more aspect of the whole thing is the application to programs itself. Just so that um, let me just for completion's sake. To apply for programs, to apply, you need to have a program list based off of programs that fit your profile and programs that you meet their requirements. These two things matter. Like I said earlier, if a program takes only Indians and Pakistanis and they've never taken any African, not Nigerians, so they've not taken any African in the last 5 years, the odds that they will take you is very low. It's just how it is. So you need to actually tailor your application and tailor whatever it is that you're doing to um, programs that you fit their profile and to programs that you meet their requirements and programs that also fit your own profile. So you make a program list and then because we're IMGs, the odds are always against us. We have to work twice as hard. This is normal and accepted. You have to apply to a lot more programs than the average American graduate will do. So it's advised that most of the time that we apply to maybe what's it called? 180 to 120 programs. And this costs around approximately $4,000. Once you successfully put the application together and submit it, and then you interview, you have to start practicing your interview skills, which is around this is the sport I'm in now because I have to do things way ahead because I know that when the time comes, I'll be very busy in house job, so I need to like save time and start doing most of these things earlier than is expected. So yes, so like the second to the last point on this slide is whatever it is you want to achieve, whatever it is that you feel like, okay, this is the dream I have, this is the dream I'm trying to chase, it's valid. Because even for American graduates, they work very hard. If you know in the US, medicine is a postgraduate degree. Most of them already have a bachelor's degree and then they're going to do medical school again. So they've done a lot of work and we need to do as much, if not more, than what they've done. So your dreams are valid, but the work you have to do to chase it is also very, you need to know that you will work till your eye will peel. If it's time to read, you will sit down, your bum will peel. If it's time to do research, you will do data collection, you will do the work. So you just know that okay, let it not be said that it is on my own end that I didn't do my best. That's just the thing. So the US Family Party will test you in a lot of ways. And just like what Dr. Cho said, you must find a way, you must have plan A and plan B because now this may look like it may it may it, it may be crazy to some people because you cannot spend all this money and then still be looking for plan B. You need to because I know somebody. It did not used to happen before, but it's happening now. I know somebody that matched last year, and the person is still in Lagos now. because of visa situations. So you need to a lot of things, anything can happen. Immigration rules are changing like faster than you can say Jack. So you need to know your visa status. You need to be following up on immigration rules. You need to be following up because it's hard work. You need to be aware of what is happening. If Trump is saying this is the way the country is going to go, you need to make sure that you are you are in line with the requirement and you're because if this is a future that you've envisaged, you cannot allow anything stop you. So if they say that they'll start checking social media presence, you need to be sure that your whole social media is clean and is tally. If they say they'll start just to be sure that you are following up on every immigration policy. You are following, in fact, you know that you are updated on all ends everywhere. That's what it needs. That's what it requires. It requires a lot of hard work. But if and when you succeed, it has the potential to change your life forever. It's just what it is. Look at residents, look at the way that I'm not the one that's supposed to tell you, you know exactly what is happening. So is what it is, Sha. I guess I feel like I've done this is my own vision, but I feel like I've done a good job just um giving an overview of what the USMLE pathway entails. I've spoken from my own experience. I've spoken from the experience of people around me. I've also written the exam. I've also spoken from the experience of people that I've coached and mentored that have gone. I've spoken from the experience of my own mentors and people that I look up to. And if you have any questions, please, now is the time because we've spent a lot of time here already. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I would I would really say that before there are many things I did not know about the USMLE, but now I would say that I have had a lot of clarity, and the impact from this session was really greater than I expected. Thank you so much, sir. And I'm sure that I'm speaking on behalf of everyone right here that has been listening. Thank you so much, sir. That was a very impactful session. Our time is fast spent, and we'll be heading straight to the Q&A session. And right after the Q&A session, we'll be having a a closing speech from our national director of the Standing Committee of Capacity Building, Kibi Nimsa, before we end. But now we're having the Q&A session, so if you have questions, please ask. Some questions have already been asked in the comments, so I'll be reading them while our speaker would answer. Okay. The first question that was asked was from Mary Juliet. The step one and step two, is it a theory or objective based exam?
How did I skip that? Jesus. It is a multiple choice, that's OBG, or both of them is multiple choice question. So for the step one is 280 questions divided into blocks of 40. So you have um, 7 blocks of so 280 multiple choice questions for step one. For step two is 320 or 222 multiple choice questions. You can reach 218 to 222 multiple choice questions. Also OBJ. So divided into 40 questions, blocks of 8. Does that make sense?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for that response. I believe that you have um, you have satisfactorily answered the question. Okay, then another question regarding documenting when you were talking about outreaches and leadership positions that can be in the ERA CV. Regarding outreaches, most times certificates are not given, and how can outreaches be properly documented?
Okay, yeah, I, you know, I'm looking at it retrospectively because me, I've graduated, and most of the time I did not. Um, they didn't give us certificates. If you're going for frequency outreach, you won't give you anything. Don't for outreach, you won't give you anything. Any of these places you're volunteering, most of the time will not give you anything. But the way to do it is this: during your if you open the era CV, there's a section on volunteering. There's a section, I think there's, I'm not very sure, but I think there's also a section on community service. Now, let's use volunteering for example. If you are saying that you volunteered, you can now say, okay, I volunteered under the Christian Medical and Dental Students Association, or I volunteered under the Federation of Catholic Medical and Dental Students, or whatever body you volunteered under. And then we went and we conducted health outreach to this also community. This community is known for this and this and this. So the way to document it in situations where you don't really have any certificates or anything that you can use to show is that you can use it to tell a compelling story on your CV that adds to the overall that adds to your overall competence. I don't know whether that makes sense. The point I'm trying to make is that you need to find a way. If you are volunteering at in a rural community, you say it because there's a segment for volunteering, and I'm sure outreach is come under volunteering. So you now put it there that you volunteered under the umbrella of this organization to this place. And now you must be ready to talk about it because that can be an interview topic. I'm like, okay, oh, tell me about your volunteering experience with the Federation of Catholic Medical and Dental Students and the rural community you went to. So that can be an opportunity for you to really talk about it and sell yourself because most of the time you won't get certificates from FEDAM, CMDA, or any of all these organizations. Most of the time, we will not get certificates from them. Another way to document is LinkedIn. Take pictures where you are very active on this and post it on LinkedIn. Now, you would think it does not matter. It does because it's when before they call you for interview, they review your CV properly. And if you think it matters and it is important to you, add your LinkedIn page there. They'll go and check it. All these things is a way to sell yourself and is a way to show up that if you are presenting yourself as somebody that is interested in community service, interested in rural and underserved population, everything in your application must be pointing towards that. And the ways to document it is actually telling a compelling story on your application and putting it all over your social media page. Because most of the time, you will not get a CV for it. Sorry, you will not get a certificate for it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Mary, I believe your question has been answered. Okay, I think this should be our last question. This question is from Danny. What are the chances of a Nigerian IMG matching into general surgery or plastic surgery, and how can one realistically match into any of these specialties?
Okay, okay. Now, I'll say it as it is. Your chances of matching into these specialty and this very very competitive specialties, even for American graduates. These are very competitive specialties, even for American graduates. That is number one. And then number two is your chances your chances of matching into these specialties depend on a lot of factors. So it's never zero, it's never 100. Is in fact there's no number, and this is exactly how it is. It depends on your visa status. It depends on your clinical experience. It depends. That is if you have US clinical, because a couple of my classmates and people that are financially buoyant, they they do electives during all those short posting time. They they took a letter and they went abroad to do most of they went abroad to do a 1 month or 2 months or 3 months posting or clinical posting, whatever. Now, the thing is, the person I'm talking about, my one of my guys, is the junior. He did that posting in anesthesiology, which is a very competitive specialty. But the and he has um, an active visa. He could he has parents that could sponsor and send him to the abroad for 3 months. He and now when you get there, it also depends on what you do, how you apply yourself. People that will write glowing letters of recommendations for you. It also now depends on if you apply yourself, if you go for conferences, if you present, if you now network and make as much connections as possible. The thing is this here. Think about it like this. Just think about it in this way. You're applying to a let's say a hospital can have maybe 4, 5 plastic residents. Plastic surgery, let's use plastic surgery. You can have like maybe 3 plastic surgery residents. They can have a total of in the whole hospital, maybe 10 plastic surgery residents. Now check this out. So and maybe there are 20 hospitals in a state. That means that means that maybe there are like 200 plastic surgery residents in a whole state. This is a very small number. The point I'm trying to make is you are trying to get into a very close-knitted specialty in the sense that their number is very small and they most probably know each other. They most probably know all the applicants. If you are from Nigeria sending an application, they don't know who you are. It is the truth of the matter. Is that they don't know you at all. So if you are the one, realistically, what chance do you think you have? But if you've come there, you've met with them, you've attended conferences with them, you've attended electives with them, they now know who you are. So if they pick up an application, they can put a face to this. Oh, I know this person. This person was the person that presented at this place. The point I'm trying to make is that your chance is not zero and your chance is not 100. Your chance depends on a lot of variables. I know a resident currently that is a general surgery resident. She schooled in the Caribbean. She did all her clinical rotations in the US, so she could build up connections. I know somebody that graduated. I don't know. He was quite popular, but I don't know him personally. Raphael that graduated from Unilag. He did multiple electives. He was Unilag. He did multiple electives in the US. Now he's in what's it called? Interventional radiology. A massive interventional radiology because of he attended conferences, he did research, he met the program directors of the program, they had dinner. So there are a lot of variables. And the truth is that IMD international mechanics are matching into any specialty. Any like you can match to any specialty. But if you that I said you must meet the minimum requirements. They need to know you, they need to see you. So if you have the means, and if you are really thinking of it, if you are really, really thinking of it, you know that okay, this is what you want to do, then there's a research pathway where you can go to the US as a research assistant. Most of the times you start as unpaid and then you gradually transition to a paid role. You do it for like maybe 2 years. During that time, you are publishing, you are getting research, clinical experience, you're getting connections, you're meeting people. During that 2 years, you're also petitioning for a green card. During that 2 years, so it is if you are really interested in like, okay, in all of these competitive specialties, and you know that you have to do the work that those specialties require. So to answer your question, because I feel like I'm rambling on and on. To answer your question, it is not zero, it is not 100, it is not even in between. It depends on a lot of variables that you have to meet. I don't know whether that answers your question, but I feel like the context I've given and the explanation I've given should make sense to you.
Okay, thank you so much for that response. We have another, we have one more question from Duke. What can what can medical students do to start getting the funds gradually ready for these exams?
Sorry, come again with the question, please.
What can medical students do to start getting the funds gradually ready for these exams?
So you're talking about money. Like I said, the money is always going to be an issue. We live in a country that we do not have access to loans. We don't have access to a lot of distance, a lot of financial services. Mind you, this fee for the exam is paid. e- Even American graduates, American students also pay this fee for the exam. So it's not like they're trying to extort money from us and all of that. So, but they have a lot easier. They get access to loans, they have families and all of that. So now, so there's very little you can do. It is the truth. There's very little you can do to start getting money for this exam. That's why people that I was very fortunate in the sense that it's not like I come from a very rich family or something, but I was fortunate in the sense that I had the foresight to start thinking of this very early. I started thinking of this immediately after my third MBBS exam. I knew I was going to. In fact, before my third MBBS exam, I was already messing around with the Patoma and a lot of other resources. So I knew I was going to write this exam. So I started thinking of it early. I started talking to everybody I knew early. And then COVID happened. And then I could now raise money during COVID because I was not thinking about school. So the thing is, right now, there's very little you can do except reach out to people that you feel like your friends, families. I don't know anything about loans. Like I said, there are organizations in Enugu here. There's FUSP that pays for this exam for people. They pay for your step one, your step two, all the money you need till you march, and then they give you sign a contract and they have stipulated amount that you have to pay back. I'm sure there are other multiple organizations like that that can. I'm not sure, but I feel like there should be other multiple organizations like that that can help, that can reach out, that can help foot some of these bills. But if finance is the issue, and you know that you are not going to be able to raise the money now, then like I said earlier, you can also turn your eyes away from the money, look at the era CV, and start doing all those other things while you wait. Hopefully, during house job, you're able to raise some money. Hopefully, you're able to meet somebody that can actually sponsor. Just with hope that okay, as time is going, you're not just sitting on your hands waiting for the money to be complete. I don't know whether that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for that response. We have come to the end of the Q&A and our overall session. Like I said earlier, this was a very impactful session, and um, one thing that has been constantly emphasized since day one in it started with the academic medicine session, went to the research medicine, the public health, even our Dr. Cho also said it. When if you sit down and do nothing, doing nothing is not going to help you. Doing nothing does not get anything done. So rather than saying, oh, because many people after listening to Dr. Cho, after listening to Dr. Franklin, can say, oh my God, this is so difficult, this is so hard, it requires me to do a lot of things. Saying all of that will not actually get you anywhere. So it's better you make your decision and then you lock in and get your things done. It's definitely not going to be easy, but having a mentor, surrounding yourself with people that have the same goal as you, having a strategy, having a direction will really, really make it much easier, and it's definitely going to be worthwhile in the end. Thank you so much, Dr. Franklin. We really appreciate your time and thank you for accepting our invitation to speak to us. Okay, right away, we'll be calling up our National Director of the Standing Committee of Capacity Building for the closing speech. Good evening, sir. You're welcome. You can take the stage.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I confirm that I can be heard, please. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we
Okay,
can hear
good
you.
evening, good evening once again. This has been a very wonderful 3 evenings, has been a very wonderful 3 days, and I must say my fire has been rekindled. You know, there's a certain level to which you write MBs and then you will forget the reason why you even started the journey in the first place. So it's very good that we have programs like this that serve as a refresher, that serve as a reminder and a breathing process for each and every one of us as regards why we started, where we are heading to, and how best to get there. So I would I have been on for all the sessions, although at the front end, not at the back end like this. And there are two things that our speakers have constantly hammered on, which I am equally going to give or say very, very briefly about in less than just a few minutes. The two of them that have stood out to me and they have hammered on mostly is positioning and mentorship. So, for one, or to put it in my own words, positioning and being audacious. You get me? For the first, which is positioning, a whole lot of, if you have listened to Dr. Franklin talk, Dr. Shaw talk, the exams are not cheap. They are not cheap. They are not at all. They are not cheap. Now, for Nipo babies who maybe your parents are consultants already, they know what it means, they know how important it is, they can fund it, fine and good. You can dive straight into the waters and get swimming already. But for people like me that know where we come from, it's important that you position yourself for tomorrow. You might not have the means now, but as Dr. Frank said, whatsoever thing it is that you can do it to get started. Do it to get started. For those of us who are in the NIMSA space, you are sitting on a literal diamond mine. I won't even say gold mine. You are sitting on a literal diamond mine. Um, the NIMSA community has given you a whole lot of opportunity to speak with bright minds who are with you and those who have gone before you or who are going before you. That thing that you feel is too big for you to do, you see your mates and your immediate seniors doing them in real time, and it just gives you this kick. It just gives you this bolster to get yours done. So take serious advantage of the opportunity. I mean, Dr. Franklin, if you should check his bio on LinkedIn, you see that he's not a doctor. He was a NIMSA um, official. If you check Dr. Ahaniku, who spoke to us yesterday, he was, in fact, he has served severally in NIMSA, both in Nigeria and abroad, even being the CACUS. He was our CACUS chairman in the Southeast before his graduation. So take proper use of these opportunities. Get yourself involved in research. We live in an age of evidence-based medicine, as I said, or as I usually say, and Nigeria is suffering from a deficiency of proper stats, from a deficiency of research. So there's a whole lot for you to do. It's nothing like, oh, there a lot of people are writing research now. If you know the amount of interventions, the amount of diseases, the amount of outbreaks in a state alone that are going undocumented, you would wonder how much papers you can get from that alone. So get your legs wet, get your hands dirty now that you're a student. Prepare yourself. I was very happy when he mentioned the LinkedIn own, because a whole lot of the service we do don't offer certificates. They are not certified, but just your LinkedIn profile. In fact, I had a friend that was applying for a program abroad, and in her interview, the person that was interviewing her, because it was a Zoom, sort of a Zoom interview, like the person was like, let's connect on LinkedIn. And that was the end of the interview. Let's connect on LinkedIn. We'll get back to you. What the interviewer did was he went to scroll through her LinkedIn. All the story that this girl is telling me, is it tallying with her track record over the years? So that's a very, in fact, it's one of the biggest professional tools for you now as a 21st century doctor, because you see your chiefs in across the globe that are there. You can easily connect with them and all of that. And that brings me to my second point. you being audacious, getting mentors. Um, almost everybody who spoke here, I have interacted with them before, except from Dr. Franklin, because I met Dr. Franklin 3 days to the event. The person was, this is a, should I say, an underground information, but just for the sake of enlightening us, I will share. The person who was supposed to speak on the USMLE pathway was going to be very busy this weekend because she has already traveled. She was going to be very busy this weekend, and I needed somebody quickly to handle it, someone that has done it. And as I was just scrolling through my connections, I saw him. I was like, ah, wow, step one and step two as a student. That's big. Oh. I hit him up. How far, my chief? Good afternoon. I saw that he did this and this and this. This is who I am. This is what I do. You can go through my profile. I would like you to come and talk to your fellow, okay, not no more your fellow name sites, but name sites. I would like to come and talk to them. Will you be chance? I was like, yeah, cool. Have my WhatsApp number. And that's how it happened. That's how it happened. I have not met him prior to this. So take that bold step. You don't know, you don't know what will come out of it. Secondly, as he said, you have to offer value. You have to offer value as a student. Um, Dr. Haneko has been my mentor for quite a while now when it comes to the public health space. And it's not just a one-ended thing because these people equally have dreams that they're aspiring for. They equally have things that they're chasing after. So meet them with value. If it's somebody that is into research who you want to shadow or you want to get yourself in their papers, oh, if it's a consultant, they are usually very busy. Can I collect your data for you? Okay, if it's where they are doing field work, volunteer yourself, get yourself involved in the process. Um, there's a whole lot to do while or whilst not doing anything. There's a whole lot to do while you feel like you're not doing anything. MB is just a fraction of the program. It's just a fraction of the process to becoming who you want to be. And in as much as we are looking at it and the pathways abroad seem very difficult, they are not impossible. In fact, I believe that the biggest rate limiting step is money, finances. But that aside, any other thing you can do to get yourself started on the process, run along with it and run with it audaciously. Concerning the country, there is a whole lot for us aside from clinical medicine. In fact, you can equally be a doctor and serve in the military. There's a whole lot. There's a whole lot, and it's quite painful that I won't say. Let me know is the word painful, but um, that the majority of us are not made aware of the opportunities that lie in wait for us as doctors. We think it's just from the housemanship to residency to becoming a consultant, and it ends there. There's an array of ways you can serve as a medical doctor, both in the country and outside. So I do hope and I do believe that as my own fire has been rekindled, as my own drive has been restarted, as my eyes have been opened, and as I have gotten a mental shift from my MB hustle into the reality of the opportunities which we have, I do hope that it's the same for each and every one of us. And I want to say a final thank you to the speakers. At least, okay, I can see that Dr. Franklin is still on the call. To the speakers who took out their time from their busy schedule to speak with us, and to each and every single one of you who made themselves available to receive this process, to receive this knowledge from our seasoned speakers. And once more, I hope that we can put it to proper practice. And I would love to see the good testimonies that will come out from today, because my own drive, my own decision to chase after my goals, chase after leadership, even in NIMSA, came from a program like this. And funny enough, the speaker that day was equally Dr. Ahaniku Ekenedirichuku. So thank you all so much once more. and have a lovely evening and a lovely week ahead. Thank you.